Lots of chat and some great music. The legendary Cleo Lane and John Dankworth join Esther. That's after the news on BBC Two with Hugh Edwards.
Good afternoon. The Progressive Unionist Party has pulled out of the current phase of the Northern Ireland peace process. The announcement came as Tony Blair continues to hold talks with Good Friday Agreement participants at Weston Park in Staffordshire, from where our correspondent Dennis Murray now joins us. Dennis, why did this party pull out then today?
Well, the leadership of that party has been saying they think that the traffic has been all one way in political terms. They appear to feel very strongly that far too many concessions, but to Sinn Féin and the Republicans in particular. Now, David Irvine, who's part of the leadership of that party, was at a news conference within the last hour, and he gave a very bleak assessment, frankly, of the prospects for his party even rejoining those talks.
The Progressive Unionist Party are now clearly out. What our intention, of course, is, in the recognition that any politician would have, is that when you leave, it is substantially easier to leave than it is to return.
Well, Dennis, what are the implications of that decision, do you think, for this process now?
I think the governments will feel that, well, it doesn't have an effect on the dynamic of the talks that are happening here, because they involve other parties. At the same time, it clearly isn't good news. And I think also that the statement by the Ulster Freedom Fighters, which is the largest loyalist paramilitary group, that it has withdrawn its support from the Good Friday Agreement completely, is even more bad news, almost to the point where you get the feeling that the process is beginning to unravel, but maybe it's too early to say that.
Dennis, many thanks. The Home Secretary, David Blunkett, is due to make a statement this afternoon about the disturbances in Bradford. Last night, there were more clashes on the city's streets, this time in a predominantly white area. They followed a weekend of serious violence. Police are appealing to the Asian community to identify those who stirred up the trouble. Conservative MPs have begun voting for their new leader. As polling started, the frontrunner, Michael Portillo, dismissed claims in some newspapers that he'd failed to declare money earned for speeches while he was a Conservative minister. Live to Westminster and our correspondent John Pienaar. John, damaging to Michael Portillo, these claims or not?
Well, these allegations on the front of The Guardian are well known to everyone with an interest in this contest now at Westminster. But the key thing, I think, is that the money did not make its way into Mr. Portillo's own pocket. It was destined for his constituency party. So we're looking, I think, at a technical breach of the rules, if that, and not what you would call so-called sleaze. My guess is it would have a marginal impact, if that, on the contest. But that doesn't mean that Mr. Portillo is home free.
Well, in terms of the voting, John, what's the word? What are the latest signals about what's going on there?
Well, it's as clear as it can be, I think, that in fourth and fifth place we have Michael Ancram, the former party chairman, and David Davis, the right-wing candidate, slugging it out, hoping to get back into the contest. At the upper end, it does now seem clearer that Mr. Ian Duncan Smith on the right of the party is putting up a strong fight from the right, while Ken Clarke is doing the same thing from the left. Mr. Portillo is still the front runner, but I think in all their cases that those three have as many dedicated opponents as loyal supporters. It still looks like a fight.
OK, John, thanks a lot. The government has blocked Lloyds TSB's takeover of the Abbey National. The Department of Trade accepted a report from the Competition Commission that the £18 billion merger would have damaged the interests of small businesses. Union said 9,000 jobs had been saved, while the Abbey National said it wasn't surprised at the decision.
And the report mentioned the market for personal current accounts, it mentioned the market for small and medium-sized banking, it mentioned the need for vibrant and innovative competition. And I think Abbey National is providing that, and providing a good deal for its customers too, which is another point that was picked up by the report. So we're looking forward to carrying on doing that.
An internet company has succeeded in easing the terms of the injunction protecting the identity of James Bulger's killers, Robert Thompson and John Venables. Demon said internet service providers shouldn't be held responsible if illegal information is posted on their sites. The court agreed, but added the proviso that they must still take reasonable steps to prevent the publication of illegal material. A man has appeared at the Old Bailey and admitted the manslaughter of the costume designer Elizabeth Sherlock, who was run over and killed after chasing thieves who'd stolen her bag at Euston Station in London. Mark Woolley, who's 35 from North London, is due to be tried for murder. British Airways is preparing for a test flight of one of its Concords, the first since the fleet was taken out of service after the Paris crash last summer. It's hoped that ground tests will be completed by Thursday. The test flight can take place soon after that. BA hopes to have the aircraft back in service within weeks. That's it. More on BBC News 24. I'll be back at 6 o'clock on BBC One. Bye for now.
This is BBC Two in the northeast and Cumbria. Now look north with John Lawrence.
Good afternoon. There's a glimmer of hope for workers at the Sanyo plant in County Durham, who just over a week ago heard the company was due to close. The Japanese parent group of the microwave manufacturers said that two factories, one at Newton Aycliffe and the other at Thornaby-on-Teesside, were financially unviable. Now managers at the Newton Aycliffe site say they're optimistic they've found a European buyer, which could mean some of the jobs will be saved.
We hope to be able to have some company that would exist here to be able to guarantee employment for some of the workforce.
But you're not able to guarantee employment for all of the workforce?
We don't believe so at the moment, but obviously it's extremely early days.
Councillors on Wearside are today discussing plans for a hostel for refugees and asylum seekers in Washington. 800 people have signed a petition against the proposal to convert the former Lakeside Gardens nursing home in Columbia to house up to 97 single men. They say it could bring racial problems. And a planning appeal has started against a decision to refuse permission for a bail hostel in a County Durham market town. Chester Street Council rejected the proposal for a greenfield site near the town centre. The application has caused widespread opposition. At the weekend, more than 1,000 people took part in a protest march through the centre of the town. Today they heard the arguments for a hostel put forward by the probation service.
We don't want it just not on this site. We don't want it in Chester Street at all. Chester Street is a little market town, and it's a very nice little town, and we want to keep it that way.
But there is crime in Chester Street. There are offenders to be dealt with.
Yes, there's crime in every town, but the occupants who will come to this bail hostel are not from Chester Street. The people who will be housed in the bail hostel are those who cannot be returned to their own community. And for not being able to be returned to their own community, they must have done something horrendous. So why should another community have that in there?
And councillors in Middlesbrough are deciding whether to permanently pedestrianise a large section of the town centre. For the past 9 months, traffic has been banned from central sections of Newport Road and Corporation Road. Now consultants are urging the council to make the ban permanent. Rugby union now, and there's better news of British Lions star Johnny Wilkinson's fitness in Australia. Wilkinson, the young Newcastle Falcons and England fly half, is now rated likely to be fit for the decisive third test against, after treatment I should say, to a badly bruised left leg. Sorry about that. That's the news for now. We'll be back with a full roundup of the region's news in Look North at 6:30. The weather forecast is next from Sarah Wilmshurst.